are side by side down the pit straight in Indianapolis. The two teammates, you can put a cigarette paper between the wheels. Hamilton holds his nerve, but Alonso is on the warpath.
Lap 39 in Indianapolis, the moment we knew that the race for the title was really on. Lewis Hamilton holds his nerve. It's a test of patience and composure for Fernando Alonso. But now the battle resumes at the Circuit de Nevers as Magny-Cours hosts its last French Grand Prix.
So welcome to qualifying for this 8th round of the Formula One World Championship and the latest challenge in the extraordinary rookie season of Britain's Lewis Hamilton, who now leads the Drivers' Championship by 10 points after his back-to-back victories in Montreal and Indianapolis. And Mark Blundell, how do you expect this amazing story to progress through this French Grand Prix weekend?
I think the story is going to unfold and we're going on to the next chapter. For sure, Lewis Hamilton again turns up here and he's on the pace, leading everybody, but Ferrari a lot stronger and Renault are back on the pace as well, Steve. So we're looking for an exciting qualifying session.
But Magny-Cours making its farewell as a Grand Prix circuit this weekend. There aren't many regrets from the teams who consider its location in the heart of Burgundy, a few miles from Nevers, as being in the middle of nowhere. But it's certainly got some quality and some history as a race circuit. And Martin Brundle is your guide on this last visit to Magny-Cours.
Fans taking a coach tour of the Magny-Cours Grand Prix circuit, apparently for the last time. This racetrack is universally in the paddock the most disliked Grand Prix on the calendar. Actually, I don't mind the place. I worked here for a couple of years as a Ligier driver. Their factory is on the inside of Turn 1. It's supremely smooth and unusual in that respect, but it is also extremely frustrating because the tyres give up so easily. And also the track can be 2 seconds a lap faster in the cool of the morning than, say, at lunchtime. Let's take a look at that lap. It's Alonso, McLaren, 170 miles an hour, but turns 1 and 2 are easily full throttle. The cars are so good now. Bring it down to 125 for the turn in to the critical Estoril corner. Turn 3, move to the outside, already full throttle. Gulf turn is ahead of us, but it's effectively a straight line. We're building up to 185 miles an hour. Most of the corners at this racetrack are named after other Grand Prix venues. This is the Adelaide hairpin, an overtaking opportunity for sure. Why is that? Well, there's no dirty line as such. There's as much grip on the inside of the track as on the outside. New tarmac for this year, so it'll be grippy and smooth too. Approach at 185 miles an hour, brake 80 metres before the corner, downshift 5 times, and to do just 50 miles an hour through the apex of the corner. We've seen lots of overtaking manoeuvres here over the years and plenty of drama too. This time David is going to get up the inside, surely. Yes, he is. And now he's got track position. That was super stuff from Coulthard. Let's go back on board with Fernando Alonso. We're heading towards the Nürburgring chicane, 170 miles an hour as we pass this traffic. Look at the direction change through this. 130 miles an hour, like threading the eye of a needle. Quickly back onto the brakes, though, for the 180-degree corner. Curious corner, you just hug the inside all the way through. Now you can let the car go. We're building up to 170 miles an hour as we head towards the next chicane. This is the Imola chicane, classic Magny-Cours really. An unsighted corner approaching at 170 miles an hour. Flick the car in at 120. I'm sitting where the drivers would be, effectively on the ground, and my eye line can only pick up that apex curb once I'm committed to the corner. I'm expecting Lewis Hamilton to be mighty through this corner. Let's finish the lap with Alonso, his teammate though. Chateau d'Eau corner, 70 miles an hour. We're heading towards home. The pits complex is at the bottom of this hill. Sweeping through turn 14. 170 miles an hour into Lycée corner. It's 80 miles an hour, and they struggle to find a braking point. Now it's just about flying over these final 2 curbs, and the finish line is immediately on the exit.
He's performed well at this circuit in the past, but he's struggled over the last couple of days, Fernando Alonso, especially around the high-speed chicanes. Had further problems this morning, some niggling problems for McLaren, and there was time off the track for Alonso, which was frustrating for him.
Yeah, very frustrating. I think he spent nearly 45-50 minutes off the circuit, which is valuable time missed. And then he had to roll out and try and produce a lap, which was not easy for him. But Lewis Hamilton, I have to say, Steve, he just got the rear end of this car hanging out all over the circuit. and he's just done a lap which is outstanding. It's some 6 tenths quicker than last year's pole position, and these guys, you know, last year had softer tyres. Great lap.
Problem for Lewis now is sort of managing expectations, but he was fastest this morning. He set the standard again.
Again, he set the standard and set the standard for everybody down this pit lane to look up to. But I think, you know, Lewis is so in focus at the moment and so confident, it will take a lot to knock him off.
Now we're all set for qualifying for this French Grand Prix, and so are the huge crowds around this Magny-Cours circuit. Could it be a third straight pole position for Britain's Lewis Hamilton? Join us in a couple of minutes' time.
Parmi les éléments qui comptent, bien sûr, en ce qui concerne la performance, la gestion des freins de ce régime de location, justement, le 14 freins, vous savez, pour l'ensemble de ce régime, mais également la quantité d'essence embarquée à l'égard des pilotes en piste. Il y en a un certain qui, jusqu'à présent, n'ont jamais réussi à passer le cap de la première série qualificative. On parle notamment Christian Albert, le pilote Spiker. On aura peut-être possibilité de rappeler les noms des pilotes qui ont toujours réussi à passer le cap de la première sélection, puis de la deuxième, autrement dit, c'est le quart d'heure qualificatif pour la bonne position. Fernand Alonso, Hamilton, Michael et Robert Kubica, et même sans être pour le Grand Prix des États-Unis, Sébastien Vettel avait réussi à gagner.
Firm, still not strong, but I think it's just the odd gust. It's going to be a headwind on the main straight.
engine is not pulling. I can't get 6th gear. From 5th to 6th, the lights are not coming on. I don't know why. It's just not there.
n'est pas la première fois qu'il est éliminé de la première séance. En fait, c'est même la 4e fois de la saison. Puis, d'autres pilotes qui ont réussi à regarder en difficulté. Après le
What happened to Rubens in the last sector, do you know?
He got too close to the car in front and got traffic, so we think that some of the gain in sector 1 was because of the tail.
Roger.
La minute 14, on va repartir dans quelques instants avec le nouveau désaccordé de 15 minutes. Voilà. C'est parti pour le deuxième quart d'heure. Un quart d'heure c'est vite passé, vous l'avez constaté avec justement le quart d'heure les 22 plateaux de complètement de Formule 1, moins 6 maintenant à l'effectif de 16 voitures.
Siamo ai 27, faceva 7.
What do I need to do for the last sector?
Okay, because of the beacon problem, I haven't got your second run, but on your comparing your first run in quali to P3, You're losing most of the time braking for turn 15. You're braking earlier, and obviously carrying less speed in, and that's where you're losing the time.
The thing is, I brake earlier, but I still locked up my front. So...
Box broken.
Understood, understood. Try to get out of the way, please. There are some people on the time lap. Try to find an S or some green gap.
Arno, we are in, we are P10, P10.
Les courses de 2006 sont déjà passés à la trappe, les gars. En fait, c'est la pole position avec Michael Schumacher. Alors, il dit 493, mais qui en fait, c'est le chrono de cette quart d'heure qui est du chrono record pour la pole position. Mais si en fait, en raison du volume des chances embarquées pour la deuxième séance qui est mieux, c'est généralement celle-ci qui est effectivement la plus rapide sur la voiture.
Interprétez ça comme vous voulez. Ronde de 10 traverse le voie des stands et regagne le box occupé par
Okay, Lewis, we believe Fernando has an engine problem. We believe Fernando has an engine problem. Continue as planned. You can push. If you can push, then we may make an extra lap.
Jarno, next run we will be on prime. Do you want to reduce the flap? Click left, one click left.
le deuxième de ligne 2.
Now they will all come back in again for another set of tyres.
Okay, Lewis, you are losing time in the first and second sector, 1/10 in the first and second sector each.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Very good. Thank you.
And Mark Blundell, what is the significance of what we've seen here in terms of the World Championship battle?
It's a massive dent in Alonso's World Championship. He needs to be up the front there with Hamilton, with the Ferraris. He needs to be in contention. As you say, he's going to be 10th at best. Possibly, if they need an engine change, could be way back in 20th position with a 10 place back. But we'll have to wait and see yet. They'll have to analyse it and see what the situation is. May not even be an engine, maybe some other mechanical issue.
Yeah, we're hearing it might be a gearbox problem, but whatever it is, it's been a ragged weekend for McLaren, and this was Alonso dropping out, and he'd been waiting at the end of that pit lane for some 3 minutes. Which you may reflect was decisive.
Yeah, the cars are waiting down there for quite a long time, and we've seen that over a few Grand Prix now that they're capable of doing that. But, you know, you saw a little puff of smoke there coming out the rear of Alonso's car in the video there, and that indicates there's a problem. Whether it's gearbox, engine, we'll soon find out.
He was saying earlier in the week that the luck just hasn't been with him during the course of the last few weeks, and that's certainly been the case for Fernando Alonso this afternoon. McLaren reaction, that'll be interesting. We can hear from Martin Whitmarsh.
Well, Martin, not the session you perhaps were expecting nor that you wanted. Tell us about Fernando, first of all.
Fernando appears to have had a gearbox failure on the first lap, so pretty disappointing for him. And we've got to look at the data and look at the parts, but it would appear to be a gearbox problem. So that didn't quite run to plan. With Lewis, then, I mean, he did a fantastic job. Missed pole by 700th of a second, so that always smarts a bit. But the reality is he's on the front row, he's a very competitive driver, and we're in reasonable shape with that car. So, you know, it's, you go into these sessions hoping you're going to take the front row. When you only have half of it, then it's going to be disappointing. But overall, I think we've got to be disappointed for what's happened with Fernando. But Lewis has, again, not made a mistake, really been consistent, and he's in a great position to go racing tomorrow.
McLaren have had some great days just recently. This wasn't one of them, though.
No, they're not one of them. But this is probably the first time this season, Steve, that we've seen reliability issues for McLaren. They've been so strong. And this is the situation as well, where it does actually have a massive effect on the World Championship. Alonso will understand where he's at now, and he'll know that he's got to do something very special in the race tomorrow to climb up into points contention. If he can pull off maybe 4 or 5 points out of this race, that would be a good situation for him.
But what we have got is a McLaren-Ferrari battle at the front of the grid tomorrow. Hamilton against Felipe Massa, who's been out of form in terms of qualifying just recently, but this was pretty impressive.
Well, I think Ferrari have been out of form just recently. They haven't quite given the car that Massa could get those pole positions that we've seen so often before. But definitely, he looks superb around this circuit. Again, very tidy by Massa. He's improved no end with his driving style over the last couple of years, and he's gelled with Ferrari and gelled with his car.
Lewis Hamilton, even before that knockout session or that pole position session got serious, he would have received the news about Fernando Alonso. Might that have affected his aggression in the climax of that session?
No, nothing at all. I mean, Hamilton's out there to do one thing and one thing only, and that's produced a best lap for Lewis Hamilton and McLaren, and he won't be too affected about his teammates' problems, so not an issue.
Sandwich between Felipe Massa and Kimi Raikkonen, and what about Raikkonen? Not really getting close to his teammate once again.
Well, you know, Raikkonen, we all felt was going to be, you know, something very special with Ferrari this year, and it hasn't quite happened. This lap again, you just see him, he's just a few tenths away from the front runners. Massa again is pushing in big laps all the time. Let's wait and see also to see what the actual fuel loads are tomorrow when it comes to the first stint of the race. But, you know, Massa, fantastic lap. Hamilton also great lap. The start, that's going to be wonderful, because now we've got a McLaren Ferrari straight drag down into turn 1.
And behind them, the likes of Robert Kubica. I mean, we must pay tribute to his qualifying performance. We will do that if we get time before the end of the programme. The press conference is ready. Let's get the reaction of the top 3.
For the 5th time this season, Lewis Hamilton. And on the pole for the 4th time in 2007 for Scuderia Ferrari Marlboro, Felipe Massa. Felipe, it's looked like a very difficult weekend. New track surface here, but a great resurgence and recovery from Ferrari.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a good weekend for us. So we proved already in Silverstone that you know what happened in the last 3 races maybe was a little bit the opposite, which was we were facing in the last test in Silverstone, and we came here. We found really a similar car to last week. So I think that's really encouraging. And you know, if you look that we are back on fighting, you know, for sure it's very close all the time. If you see the difference on the lap times, was very close between our three. But it's good to be back on fighting. It's good to be here, and really happy that we can have a good car tomorrow as well.
As I say, new track surface, varying wind conditions here, and it was very, very close. Talk us through those two very quick laps of yours right at the end.
Yeah, on my first try, I just managed to do quite a good lap, but then I expect to improve a little bit in the second try. But then this tire, especially on the soft tires, you know, if it's so you drive so much on the limit that if you just overdriving a little bit, you just lose maybe 1/10, couple of tenths that you cannot recover again. So the last try is always, you know, the one if you can make everything perfect, you improve a lot the lap time. But if you just try to overdrive a little bit, you just make some mistakes.
Well done to you, Felipe. Lewis, turning to you, looks to be a slightly uneven weekend for Vodafone McLaren Mercedes so far. He lost a bit of time on Friday morning, Fernando this morning, and Fernando again appears to have an engine problem now. From your point of view, though, I guess good to be on the front row.
Absolutely, I think you know, you can't be perfect all the time, and but I think the team have done a fantastic job. The car was pretty sweet for the qualifying session. I think I had the car to be pole, and I lost a bit of time. I think on I think it's turn 15, I was about a 1/10.5 up. So I had it there, but it would have been a mega lap. It was just I lost a bit of time, but that's the way the game goes. But I'm very, very happy we're on the front row, and I believe that we have a good strategy for tomorrow, so we will be very strong.
Well, he's got a smile on his face as well. He might. He's on the front row for tomorrow's French Grand Prix. Just time to remind you of where you can see our live race coverage tomorrow. We'll be on the air at 12 noon, ITV1, with all the prospects and build-up ahead of the race start, which is at 1 o'clock. Highlights are scheduled at 11:45. But straight after the live race tomorrow afternoon, we'll be off to Knockhill in Scotland for the latest action from the British Superbikes. But 12 noon ITV1 for the French Grand Prix. And of course, the ITV-F1 website will keep you in touch with absolutely everything in the sport. So that's tomorrow's lineup. And make sure you're with us for that French Grand Prix midday tomorrow. Every indication that Lewis Hamilton could extend his World Championship lead still further. Bad day for Alonso, but Hamilton shares the front row with Felipe Massa for tomorrow's French Grand Prix. Bye for now.